All right, let's hit this page down. Page 1 of 6, advanced math. Hopefully, you've already gone through the algebra. If you're taking a test at the last minute, maybe in a couple days, maybe in a day, maybe you got 5 days, you're doing this at the last minute. So, what do you do at the last minute? You're going to take care of business. You're going to do as well as you can and then set your expectations. You're not expected to get a home run on the next test. What you're going to do is walk with a plan of strategy, just brushing up on some algebra, advanced math, and hopefully a little bit of data analysis and geometry will go a long way to boost that math score. I bet money if you do what I ask you to do, you're going to go up maybe 20, 30 points, hopefully 50 points compared to what you had done last time if you do the work leading up to the test. If you don't, well, we know we need more time to get ready. So, what's a good time to get ready? 5, 8, maybe up to 10 weeks. More than 10 weeks, you kind of get burned out. But let's break these questions down. This first question, number 3. It's actually an easy question. It's a low end question. If we take a look at this question, we have 12x cubed minus 5x cubed. Subtract 12 minus 5, that's going to be 7, and it's got to be 7x cubed. Remember, when you're adding or subtracting fractions, your exponents don't change when you have like bases. However, let's say you had x to the third times x to the third, then of course, that rule, you're not adding or subtracting, you're going to be adding the exponents when you're multiplying with like bases. That would be 3 plus 3, which would be x to the 6th power. Now, when do you multiply with like bases? It's going to be x to the third. Unless it was raised to the 3rd power, that's when you would multiply. That would be x to the 3rd times 3, which would be equal to x to the 9th. They'll test these little ding dong rules. But when it comes to adding or subtracting, we just don't change the exponents. That's why they want you to bite on that baited answer, answer choice A, which will be wrong. All right, question number 12. Which expression is equivalent to the answer choice that are given to you? Now, I like cheating on these type of questions. When I see the answers, I have 146, 121, 96, negative 14. My C values, remember you have your A value, your B value, and your C value. My C values are each different. So I'm attacking the ends immediately. What's 11 times 11? 121. Don't forget, we're going to add the other side, which is foiling. The last step of foiling is a negative 5 times a plus 5, which would be a negative 25. So basically, that is 121 minus 25. It's got to be a number less than 121. So it can't be C. It can't be 146 because it's too big. And it's not going to be as small as a negative 14. It ain't going to drop that much. So B must be your answer without a calculator. Now, if you wanted to distribute everything all the way across, you feel much more comfortable with that, no big deal. This is a medium level question. Now, this question number 5 is supposed to be an easy level question. Let's take a look. Here we go with the exponents again. Notice the answer choices at the end. I got z to the negative 2, z to the negative 1, z to the positive 2, z to the negative 3. So let's hit the ends. What is z to the negative 1 times z to the positive 3? Remember, what do we do with the exponents? We're multiplying with like bases. We're going to add them together. So what is z to the negative 1 plus 3? That's going to equal z to the 2nd, which is b as in boy. That's not z to the 2nd. That's not. So 3 answers are dead in the water. Question number 16, we take a look at this guy. Pretty much the same thing. Oh, they like asking this in advanced math? Yes, they do. This is a medium level question. Well, it's in between medium and hard, we can say, but it's truly medium. Which expression is equivalent to all of this business? But notice you got 2 parts here. Once I see the 2 parts, I can eliminate answer choices because if I distributed all of this, I'm going to have one string of information, just one. Here I have 1 and I've got 2. So A is out. Same thing with B. If I strung it all out or distribute it, I get one string of information. So B is out. So therefore, it's got to be between C and D. Here we go with the exponents again. Let's try answer choice D. 6x squared, we're going to multiply it by x to the 4th power. 6x squared times x to the 4th power. What do we do with the exponents? We're going to add them. That's 6x squared plus 4 is going to equal 6x to the 6th power. Is that what we got right there? Is that a 6? No, that is an 8. So answer choice D is out. C must be the best answer. And if you double check, 6x squared and x to the 6, add them up. Yeah, it does equal 8. Question number 8, lay them straight. Ooh, ooh, you better appreciate. Dirt, dirt, dirt. Notice with the setup, we got 3 parts. 1, 2, 3. Again, 1, 2, 3 parts. Answer choice A is just going to give us 2 parts, so you can kick that to the curb immediately. Now, what do you guys want to pick on? Well, I like picking the end, so I got x to the 3rd power. Let's go check. I got, from the bottom up, I got 6x to the 5th power times 1. That's going to be 6x to the 5th power. I don't have a 6x to the 5th power anywhere up there, so therefore, good night, Irene. D is out. Let's take a look at the ends for this one. For answer choice C, 8x to the third power times 1 is 8x to the third power. Yes, I have that right there. So I'm going to keep this answer, but don't bite on the answer yet. Notice answer choice B says x to the third power times 8 is also 8x to the third power. So what can we do? Let's go to the first part. What is this guy going to be? This one is going to be 5 x squared times x cubed, which is going to be, we add our exponents, 5x to the fifth power. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe we find our answer. Let's just verify though. Oh, I can see this is wrong. Yeah, answer choice here would give us x to the fifth power, but what's 5 times 8? 40. I don't have 40. I have actually 5. So therefore C is out. B is our best answer. Question number 14, medium level question. Pause so far. If we back this up, the medium level questions, they require us to do some work, which steals a little bit of time. Here's another question. Should you use Desmos for these questions? I don't believe you should use Desmos. Longhand is much better than using Desmos. But if you know how to use Desmos with these particular questions, which I think are too easy to be using Desmos, then by all means use it if you feel much more comfortable with that. All right, question number 14. I like looking at the end again. I got a negative 54y to the fourth power. But I see that they say it's equivalent to ry to the fourth power. But if I were to distribute, right, the last step of distributing should equal a negative 54y to the fourth power. Distribute what? Ry to the fourth power times a negative 9. What would that be? All right, that's supposed to equal negative 54 to the y power. Now, if I multiply, I'm going to get a negative 9 ry to the fourth power is equal to negative 54 y to the fourth power. So if we want to solve, what can we do? We divide both sides by y to the fourth power, so that would disappear, and this would disappear. Now I just have a negative 9r equals a negative 54. How do we solve for this? If I divided both sides by a negative 9, I think you guys got this. So therefore, r is going to equal, what is 54 divided by 9? Because it'll wind up being a positive. What is a negative divided by a negative? Is going to equal 6. So 6 is the answer to this question. Next question. Let's roll, baby, roll. Question number 17. What are we looking at? Oh, something delicious and funky. Looks kind of scary. This is a hard question. Why is it a hard question? Number one, most students have answered it incorrectly. But does it truly mean like it's really hard, like in school? No. Remember, hard questions is just a smash up of easy concepts. Let's take a look at the opening expression that they gave us. I'm going to rewrite it this way. I saw something. You see how they have x minus 7, x minus 7? All right, let me just rewrite upstairs. Now, during the test, when I do this, some students are like, oh, should I plug it into Desmos? No. They want you to do it. You're going to get lost. You're not going to know what to look for. Minus 3 times x minus 7, right? I'm going to draw the line. What do I have downstairs? Check out what I'm going to do. I'm going to factor it. 2 times x minus 7. Ta-da! You guys see that? All right. There's a rule in math that we may have forgotten, but let's see if we can figure it out. Oops. All right, get my little thingy here. Let me change the color. All right. You see how you have that minus, but they're sharing the same denominator? All right, so I could write this as 8x times x minus 7 all over 2 times x minus 7 minus 3 times x minus 7 all over 2 times x minus 7. That's the same thing as this up here, having it all sit over 2 times x minus 7, where I don't have to repeat it twice, or I can write it that way. If I have this, couldn't I just cancel the x over minus 7 times x minus 7 over x minus 7? Yep, I certainly can. So what am I going to be left with? I'm going to be left with 8x minus 3 all over 2. And that's the answer to your question. Ain't that slick, right? It's a hard question. Why? Because students are forgotten some of the basic principles of dealing, like maneuvering through these mechanics. That's really it. So practice with this, especially this type of questions. I bet money you're going to see it in the next test. All right, question number 23. This is another game. Now, this is considered a hard question. Notice we went from easy, medium, now we're into the hard questions. You have an idea of what they're like. You're going to realize they're not that hard. They're just confusing because you don't know what to look for. All right, so we take a look at this. One thing they're going to show you here is this k is greater than 0. The reason they're not telling you, hey, you got to pick a number that's greater than 0 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and plug it into the formula. No, that's not what they're asking you. They're simply saying they're qualifying this question as a valid question because k cannot equal 0. So if you have 0 in your denominator, it's an undefined number, which is a no-no in math. So that's why they put k has to be greater than 0 to qualify the answer as being correct. All right, let's go into the question. Let's forget that we're dealing with k is greater than 0. Let's just deal with this business here. So here, this expression is 42a over k plus 42ak over 1. You guys got that? If we're dealing with fractions, what must we have in order to solve the fraction? What must we have downstairs? We need to have common denominators. So in order to make my fractions common with common denominators, I got to multiply the right side downstairs by k. Then upstairs, I have to multiply by k also. So that's going to be 42ak squared upstairs. Now I am good to go. Remember what we did before when I told you about this and then we can convert it to this downstairs? Well, let's do the opposite here. Let's do 42a. I'm going to put it in standard form, ak squared first, then plus 42a. So I'm kind of reversing it, but all over k. Do you see how that works? All right, so one of your answer choices must match up with what I just have written in blue. D will be your answer, but what are they showing you? They're showing that it's factored. What can I factor out of this business? Perhaps I can factor out this 42a. So if I did do that, that'd be 42a, right? And then what do I have left over? Because it's factored out of this guy, I'll have k squared plus 1 left over all over k. That's why D is your best answer. Not bad. It's a hard question. Is it really that super hard? It's super soft. You better go back outside and go work out. All right, question number 17. I'd say this is like, I'll call it a hard question. Why not? We'll call it a hard question. A lot of students get locked up on this. Now, remember we were multiplying exponents with like bases. Well, what do you do when you divide? I'll give you a little example. No, you know what? I'll just use the question. Here we go. If I took q to the 7th over q to the 21st, right? Let me just write it to the side. Q to the 7th divided by q to the 21st power. That's the same as saying q to the 7 minus 21. Remember, we were multiplying with like bases with different exponents. We would add the exponents. In this case, when you're dividing, you're going to subtract the exponents. So this is going to equal q to the negative 14. Q to the negative 14 is the same as saying 1 over q to the positive 14. Just the basic rules of exponents. So which answer is going to show us q to the positive 14 in the denominator? Well, I don't have it here. I have no denominator here, no denominator here. So therefore, A must be my best answer. And just in case, if you want to do the first part, that's going to be h to the 15 over h to the 5th, which is the same as doing h to the 15 minus 5, which is equal to h to the 10th, which we do have upstairs. But let's say it came out to be a negative 10, then that would be what? 1 over h to the positive 10. All right, remember, when you deal with negative exponents, you're immediately going into the 1 over world. Again, negative exponents, 1 over world, negative exponents, 1 over world, and then flip it to a positive number. Question number 19. What did Joe Daddy say about question number 19? Oh, my daddy said, I don't like this question. Okay, now we go into the rules of exponents when you deal with fractions. When you deal with fractional exponents, let me just rewrite it. I'm going to rewrite it with A as bliggity black. Let me put my little dividing number there. I'm going to put 12 downstairs. Upstairs, I'm going to put 11. That is the same as saying, check that out. That is exactly the same as saying, whenever you see an exponent as a fraction, we're going into radical world. So when you see the exponent as a fraction, we're going to go into radical world. So your base of A is going to go inside the house. Your denominator 12 is going to go outside the house, and your numerator stays inside the house. Boom. So they're expressed in the same manner. One with an exponent that's a fraction, and one with a radical. So at this point, you look at the answer choices and you're like, wait, what the hey, what's going on? Which answer can it be? Well, I want you to take a notice that we do have this 12 right here. What's the relationship with 12? It could be this answer. Yep. It could be this answer. What's 12 squared? Oh, that equals 144. So it could work there. What's 12 got to do with 121? Nothing. So therefore C is out. What's 12 got to do with 11? It's not supposed to be out there. So they're nothing. So D is out. So it's got to be between A and B. Let's take a look at the 11 now. The 11, we got 132 here. Oh, isn't 12 times 11 132? Yuppity up. And then 12 times 11 is also 132. But which one is the best answer? It's got to be B. You can't have one part be 12 and one part be multiplied by 12. It's got to be consistent. So if I were to multiply that sucker by 12, I'd get 144. I got my radical, I got my A, and you multiply inside by 132. So this is the reduced value of this right there. Oh, did I put 131? My bad. All right. Oh, there's no other question. So we just completed the page. I don't know how many minutes we spent on this, but hopefully you understand this is the big picture of the first page of advanced math. These are good to understand. All right, if you have any other questions, you know what to do. You can give me a call at 786 877 7231, or you can text me. If you need access to the documents, I'll try and get it to you. In the meantime, peace out. Practice. Practice.